Hello, it's Burgess Taylor from Journey with Burgess, and we are starting out the Artist for All series with my creative journal and how I'm setting it up and what I'm doing. And I decided to use a Scribbles That Matter journal, and I wanted to use a winter theme for January. And I know this seems quite a bit like a bullet journal, and it sort of has some of the elements that I love about a bullet journal, but it has none of the actual planning part. And I know that after reading Ryder Carroll's bullet journal method book, the bullet journal method is not about the to-dos, because I do not have any of that in this book. But there are some things I love about setting up a bullet journal, and I wanted to take some of those things and move them into what would be a creative journal. You'll hear more about that in a little bit. Three of the main questions I get asked are, how did I get into what a lot of people call art journaling? Some people consider art journaling to be more of a mixed media kind of thing. And that there is that kind of art journaling. But I kind of document my life in a way that includes various forms of art. And I've always, well, since middle school, so not quite always, added bits and pieces of everyday life into some of my journals. Most of my journaling was text journaling, but I did add ticket stubs and receipts and a doodle here or there and pictures and things like that. But a few years ago, I delved into the rabbit hole of journaling. Hobonichi style journaling, Fobonichi style journaling, documenting your life, smash booking. I had already been smash booking for a good while, but had no idea there was a YouTube community with stuff like that. Then I fell down the rabbit hole. That's how I got into it. There were some people that really paved the way for me. People that I watched on YouTube, like Miss Vicky B and Rami's Realm and My Life Mitts and Pale as Blue and a number of others. The Fobonichi group was a big influence. There were several different people that I really admired, and I kind of sort of found my way through to my own style. And the more that I do this, the more I figure out my own style, which changes depending on the mood and depending on what I'm doing, because sometimes what I do is more illustrative, sometimes it's more like what you'd see in a child's book, a storybook, sometimes it's a little bit more realistic. I just kind of like to try different things and play around, and it really depends on the mood. And then one of the other questions I get asked a lot are, what are some of my favorite supplies? People ask about budget-friendly beginner kind of supplies. People ask what are some of my favorites that I would recommend to all. And I'm kind of going to cover some of that in various videos. I am sorry this video is so long, but I tried to get quite a bit of it in. And this was me setting the journal up. So, but I enjoyed setting it up. I love setting up a new journal. I love a blank page. Most people are intimidated. Not most. Some people are intimidated by a blank page. I am not. I love them. Your imagination can go wild with a blank page. So the third most asked question that I get is, what notebook do I recommend? And to be honest, there are a number of notebooks I could recommend, and I thought I'd try something a little bit different this time than what I normally do, which is usually a Tomoe River notebook. But for this series, I thought I'd try something a little bit different. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest. Today I'm going to show you my creative journal and how I've set it up, and then the next video will be about doing an actual daily page in the Artist for All. This is all related to the Artist for All series because I'm going to be covering the journal, how I've set it up, along with some of my favorite supplies from budget-friendly on up to artist grade and some of the more expensive supplies. First, let's talk about the journal and how I've set it up and how I have this in here and why this is the way that it is. And then I will show you some of my other things, because what I'm doing, I have my Hobonichi in here. And what I've done is I'm using the Hobonichi Avec for my actual planning, bullet journaling, and I've pretty much sort of set it up already. I'm not quite finished with all of it. This was December, this is January, and then we get to the weekly pages, which are right here. And I'm going with a winter theme with basically trees, a little bit of animals, more or less. I'm using some deer, some birds, maybe a bear or a rabbit or things like that. Bears hibernate in the winter, so I may draw a little cave with a bear in it. I'm not quite sure. And I use this washi tape because mostly it looks like she has them like a little hats, and there are little deers in the background of this, and it has a lot of the colors that I'm going to be using, minus the pink. I'm using neutrals and blues and purples with a pop or two of red here and there for the winter, for January. This blue-gray color is what I have themed for January. And then we get to this, and I've done the tree here, and I have my goals. And I'm not quite finished with the quarterly goals. And then we have the goals for January here. And that's all I have set up in there. And then this is my notes, Artist for All. I wrote down some things about the video that I wanted to cover. And I am going to talk about some of that in this. And I got part of my theme from here. This was a vellum, I don't know, little thing that went in a traveler's notebook. And I cut it down to A6 and put it over my black cover. I decided that that would be a really good place to sort of start. This is an A5 Chic Sparrow. It is new to me. It is, I guess, that teal color with the ink stains. I think the person did maybe this themselves. I'm not sure. But I like it. It is the regular. It does not have pockets inside. And what I have done is I'm not doing a bullet journal in a bullet journal, so to speak. I have collections in this, which is a Taroko Design Breeze, and I've set it up with the Creative Journal because these and the Hobonichi are what I'm going to be in the most. I have my year in pixels, my goals, which I'm transferring into the Hobonichi, a list for books I've read, my wish list, a tracker for blog posts and Instagram posts. This is the 2 different YouTube channel trackers, my Patreon tracker, requests for Patreon, and then requests for the 2 different YouTube channels. This is a cheat sheet for social media with sizes for pictures and things, videos. This is content ideas, and I have put quite a bit of quotes in here. I love quotes. This is for artist dates because my goal is to take one every other week, which means that would be 26 artist dates. And this is for the Artist for All series where I'm logging what I'm doing. The last video I did was a live video. All I have in here. We're going to get to the scribbles that matter. And this is the one with the icons on it. I'm hoping you can see it. The lighting is not so great. It is a very cloudy, rainy day, and I am sick, so please excuse my voice. I've been trying to recover. So I've just set this up already. It is a creative journal. It's going to be a document my life journal. I will be doing a little of art, some ephemera, pictures, journaling. I covered up the Scribbles That Matter thing right here on the front, and I put this: the visionary starts with a clean sheet of paper and reimagines the world. And then, since I'm not using this as a regular bullet journal, I do not like a to-do list or a task list or any of that kind of stuff with my daily journaling pages. I don't like it. Otherwise, I could use the Hobonichi for everything for the most part. Follow your inner compass is my phrase for the year for 2019, and intuition is my word for the year. My index, which I will be using because I want to kind of chronicle some of the important things, and why I'm calling this my creative journal is because whenever I do YouTube videos or I create things, or if I do something like an artist date or I get a new supply in, which won't be very often, or if I use a certain supply, if I do a DIY project, anything that's more or less creative, how I'm using my life, my creative life, how I want to create daily. And sometimes that means art, other times it means DIY projects, other times it means creating a video, sometimes it means writing a blog post, sometimes it means writing, sometimes it means reading. So I want to keep up with my creative life, along with my regular life, a little bit better. So this is the first page, the sort of hello to January. And I put a little calendar here. I need a calendar everywhere, y'all. I'm not kidding. And I put a quote by George R.R. Martin from A Game of Thrones. A cold wind was blowing from the north, and it made the trees rustle like living things. I love the sound of trees rustling. And since trees and the winter are are my main theme for January, I thought that quote was perfect. So I did this. And this is sort of my own kind of version of this, but I changed things up. And then this is the actual calendar, and I am interested in doing some doodle kind of prompts. I'd like to do a little bit more ink kind of thing, so I'm thinking about doing some kind of ink, like little ink doodles, just where I do just black and white, just ink. And I thought about doing it on this page. I want to choose a prompt. I'm not quite sure what prompt I'm going to choose, but I think that would be good because I can write what the prompts are down right here and then fill this in with the little doodles. And then this is what would be a log for the bullet journal, and I'm using it for my creative journal because I like the log, keeping track of things that happen as they happen, like what happened during the day. That will work. And I did the same, like I did the tree with the little deer and the birds. I kind of carried it further, and then that's it. And I spilled some ink. So this will be my January 1st page, and that's how I have this set up. Now, I haven't done the pen test or anything because I primarily know what pens I use. But I thought for this, I would do some of the pens. I'm going to tell you what some of my favorite pens are. I'm going to get my pen case out and show you some of my favorite pens and some of the supplies that I use that are my favorites. And like I said, they go from budget all the way up to the more expensive things. And I have markers and all kinds of things. I'm not going to talk about fountain pens a whole lot. I will talk a little bit about them. One of the economical fountain pens that you can get is a Pilot Kakuna. They actually come with cartridges, and you can get a converter for this, or you can use cartridges. I prefer platinum carbon ink for drawing and writing whenever I'm going to do watercolor over it. I like waterproof inks the best because I do a lot of drawing and art and stuff. But this is a really good pen. I think most of them come with a fine or a medium nib, but I've had this pen for a long time. I do need to clean it and refill it with ink. I used to use this all the time. I have several different pen cases. This was a makeup case. My daughter got makeup brushes in it, and I have been using it as a case because it's cushiony, and that way I don't have to worry about my fountain pens and my drawing pens. This is more of my to-go pencil case. It was a 50-cent pencil case from Walmart, and I like it because I can fit a lot of things in there. If I wanted to, I could take out some of the things. Like, I don't need whiteout when I'm going, like on a artist date. I could put the scissors in there, and then I could put it in my to-go bag. This pretty much covers most of the things except the water brushes and the glue stick. I have two different pairs of scissors. I'd have to say that I love these. These are Fiskar scissors. And what I love about them is that they have this and they open. It has a spring and they cut straight. I really like that. But they don't have a little plastic protector thing, whereas these Tim Holtz scissors do. The only thing about these scissors is that I tend to cut curved more with these scissors for some reason. But I like that these have the cover over them. So these usually stay in my craft room, and these kind of go around with me. I just make sure to put them in something where I don't have to worry about the point. When I first started adding art to my journal pages, I started out with really inexpensive pens. I had a Bic ballpoint. I had one of these Uniball, and I think this is the Vision. It's the micro, and I have fine and a needle. I have a couple of different ones of these, and the reason I had these are waterproof, and they're inexpensive. You can get them from pretty much anywhere, along with the Bic ballpoints. And in here, I have a cartridge for this. I can refill this if this runs out. However, while I'm out and about, like on an artist date, I have an extra cartridge if I need it. Normally, I just fill the cartridge with ink, with the carbon ink. In here, I just fill the cartridge that's in it, but I do keep an extra one in case. So this is my favorite drawing pen. This is one of the first fountain pens that I got, and it was under $10 when I bought it. I think they range about $10 now. When it comes, it has a long handle like a brush, like a watercolor brush. It has a sort of a long handle. These are called desk pens. They sit in those little things that attach to your desk with a little pen holder. it was too long, and I saw a hack by Romney from Romney's Realm where she MacGyvered it. And then I did the same, and I had this little rubber thing that I put on there. I did it a little bit crooked, but this keeps that, and this also allows for the cap so it can be capped. Because I was forever afraid I would lose my cap before when I had the long end because you couldn't put the cap on it. So this is one of the pens that I draw with. This is a Microderm 0.05. This will write on washi tape and other surfaces like that, pictures, washi tape, that kind of thing. I don't use this very often. I used to use it a lot, but I don't really write on my pictures too much now. I actually have a label maker, and I have some of those the stickers that are like little words, and I'll use those sometimes. But I hardly ever write on washi tape or pictures now. I tend to use the label maker. Then before I get into this kind of stuff, I have the uni pens, which are fine liners, and they're great for drawing. And what I found out is that the nibs can be taken out and turned around, which I need to do that to one of mine. These work great, and they're waterproof. These and the Faber-Castell pens are my favorites. So let's get to some of my pens, and we'll do a pen test. Now, this is a Uniball Signo .38. This is the black brown ink, and I really like it. And it is a fine. It's like an extra fine .38, and I like it for drawing and for sketching little really fine lines. Sometimes I write with it, but I actually draw with it more than write with it. These are Faber-Castell pens. I have quite a few of them in here. I have more sizes than what I have here, but these are the ones that I use the most. For here, this is the extra small or slim, the medium, and the brush. And then there should be another one. I'll have to find it, but I have several of them, and I love them. They are like, see, here's one. I have a lot of the different pens, and here I have Stettler pens, and I really like their fine liners as well. I have Microns, and I really like theirs too. These are pencils, just regular Bic. I think these are 0.7 millimeter HB2s. I have several of these that I use, but the one that I draw with the most is probably this one, and I want a smaller one. This is a 9. This is a 0.9 millimeter. It's a Draft-O-Matic. It came in an Art Snacks box, and I like this one because this is here, and I can take my kneadable eraser and put it on the end of here like this, and then if I need to erase something that has a sort of a fine, like, and I don't want to erase too much. I have to be careful about what I'm erasing. I can adjust the tip of the kneadable eraser and make it as pointy as I need to, so that I can only erase what little tiny bit of detailed stuff I want to erase in it. Sharpie pens have been one of my staples for stuff, and it is waterproof. I don't know how archival it is though, so I don't use it as much anymore. I do use it for things that I'm not worried about archivals, you know, whether I want it to stay around for a long time or not. They work great, and they're inexpensive. It's an option. I have these, which are the Rotring Tiki Graphics, and they work awesome, but they are very wet, and you have to let them dry. They take a bit of time to dry. I pulled these back out so I could start using them again. Because lately I've been using the uni pens and the Faber-Castells more, so I got these out so I could use them more. This is a Sailor, and it's a few day pen. It's like a calligraphy kind of fountain pen. It has this weird angle, and you can do different lines and things with it. I've been trying to practice with it. I have platinum carbon ink in it. It is a great drawing pen. Not such a great writing pen. It takes a while to get used to how it works. But I do use it a lot for drawing because you can make all different kinds of lines from fine to really thick. So it works great. And then I have, this is a platinum. One of these is a cool and one of these is a balance. I have more than one of them. This is a fine nib and this is a medium nib. I have the polar brown in this one. And then I have carbon black in this one. I need to refill this one. This one's out of ink, so I'm going to set it over there. And these are like $20, depending on where you get them from. These platinum These are range from about, I think I've found them as cheap as like 17 or 18 up to like 25 or 30 depending. Most of the time I get my pens from Amazon, Goulet pens, or Jet pens is where I get the bulk of my fountain pens from. This is a TWSBI Classic. It has a broad nib on it. I use it for headers and stuff like that, or when I write quotes. And this is a TWSBI, and I think it's the 580 AL. And it has a medium nib. I got it for Christmas, I think last year. For this year, this is the TWSBI Eco, and it has they came out with red, a couple of different colors, and I got this. It's a fine nib. This is the one I got this year for Christmas. And then this is one of those erasers, and it works really good. It is a Kelly Creates eraser. I have also a Kelly Creates pen, and a couple of other things that came with something. This is the Uniball Vision Micro. So this gives you an idea of some of the pens, and like I said, some of these pens, which I have to say, if you want an inexpensive pen that's going to be waterproof, any of these Uniball Visions work great. They have them in different sizes, and they are waterproof, and they write really well. You can write with them, draw with them, anything you want. As far as the less expensive pens go, or ballpoint. A big ballpoint's one of the cheapest drawing utensils you can get. Now we have markers, and I'm going to talk about inexpensive markers and then some of the more expensive. For Christmas, I got this 100 count of the Crayola Super Tips. These are washable markers. You can use them for watercoloring. They work great. And they're really affordable. They are very affordable. And then there are Tombos, which are more expensive. I have the Brights, I have some extras that someone sent me, and then I have the portrait color, the facial color ones, and they work great. And they're a little bit more blendable than the Crayola Super Tips. They come with a blender. I don't hardly ever use that though, but the Tombow are much more expensive. And then I have these Crayola wedge markers. These are new. They are called Arty Edge, or Art Edge. It's art with an edge, and they are chisel tipped. And then there are some more expensive, like the Zig Real Clean Color brush pens and things like that, but I'm not going to go into that stuff. Now I'm going to go over the basic supplies that I use. My very favorites are probably some of these. Pilot Pereira, the TWSBI Eco, and the Platinum pens. I love them. There are some other ones that are really good. I have a Pilot Metropolitan, which is a really great starter pen, as well as a Platinum Plaisir, which is a really great one. But if you get a Pilot Metropolitan, you need to either use cartridges or get one of those converters that don't have that bubbly thing that you squeeze. I have one with that, and I never use that pen because I cannot stand that converter to re-ink it. Now we're going to see what bled through. And it looks like the only thing that bled through was the Sailor Fude pen, right where I pressed right there. The Faber-Castell didn't bleed through, and maybe the Uniball Vision a little bit where it was really dark because it's been a while since I used that one. But ghosting mostly is what you see. Okay, so now we're going to go to watercolors, and we can talk about colored pencils another day, but this video is going to be way too long if I continue with too much of what I'm doing in here. So we're going to talk about watercolors. Before I get into the watercolors, I forgot about one of my very favorite things because it was on the other side. These are the Jelly Roll Stardust. My daughter got the real big pack of Jelly Rolls from her dad over a decade ago, and she was in love with them and all different kinds of Jelly Rolls. And I didn't understand the pull of them because back then I did text journaling. I would add a little bit of scrapbooky stuff to it, newspaper article, pictures, receipts, ticket stubs, that kind of stuff, but I didn't add art to my pages. Every now and again a doodle or two. But these are fantastic. I love them. My wish list, I have the huge, I want the real big thing of these. That's on my wish list. Like my Crayola Super Tips. I just got the real big thing for Christmas, and I want the real big thing in the Jelly Rolls. We're going to do some watercolor. And I have two affordable watercolor sets that I'm going to show. Now, mind you, this is Scribbles That Matter paper, which is not for watercolor. I did, however, do the swatches on Tomoe River paper, and I will show you those. This is the Jerry Q watercolors, and this is the Pretty Excellent watercolors. They are both really pretty. Now, these have more vibrancy, definitely more vibrancy than these do, but for journaling purposes, I recommend them both. After swatching them out, I'm excited about getting them onto the paper in the Scribbles That Matter, as well as doing some journaling in here with them. Like I said, this is the Jerry Q. It has 18 colors, and those are the colors. I really like this set for beginners. I really do. I think this is more manageable than the Koi, because it does, like the Koi, it comes with everything. You even get the little sponge. So I'm not going to be using the water brushes. I will later fill them up. Both of these came with a water brush though. And then these also, like I said, these came with a water brush as well. Once you're done with this is plastic. You could take these out, this out, and fill it with your own watercolors, because by the time you use all these, you could actually get tubes of watercolor, which is what I do when I run out of my more expensive watercolors. I fill up half pans with the watercolor tubes, and it's more affordable that way in the long run because you save money on the tubes. But you could get half pans and put these in here because these don't pop out. This is a little plastic piece. You could do the same thing with these. These are actually in half pans, and these do come out. Or you could use tube paint and fill this up, and you wouldn't even have to. You could take these that are in here and fill them up and put magnets on the bottom and put them in here. If you got both, or in a different tin or whatever, you could do the sticky back magnet thing, put them in here, and then just use these wells right here for watercolor if you wanted. So it could be dual purposed. Let's get to the actual watercolor. I'm going to time lapse because I'm not going to talk through this. Like I said, I'm sick. I am right-handed, so I tend to do this. So I'm going to start over here because that can be drying while I do this. Oh, and I put the black marks in there so you can see how opaque or translucent the watercolors are. Alright, now, just so as a matter of reference, so that you know, when I very first started adding watercolor to my pages, I was limited with supplies. I actually used this praying set. I still use it sometimes when I'm doing stuff for Victor or when I'm trying to figure out some things. I actually do still use it. I also have the Jane Davenport in the brights and the neutrals. These are in the mid range for I guess less expensive versus more expensive artist grade versus student grade, beginner's grade. I have the neutral and the brights, and they're fantastic. I actually do still use these on occasion, not as much as I should, but I do, and I'm going to try to use them more in here. As far as my artist grade watercolors go, I have Holbein, Schmincke, and Daniel Smith, and then some handmade watercolors from people I've gotten on Etsy. I actually use the Holbein and a few of the Daniel Smith, which I have in here because I don't have the colors in the Holbein. I have Daniel Smith Payne's Gray. I have I think it's called Rhodite Genuine or something like that. I have neutral tint and a blue-green color, and then another blue. So just a few, like this is, I want to say a purple, might be Moonglow. But anyway, most of these are Holbeins, and that's what I use to decorate the front of the journal, the creative journal. You can see the difference between Tomoe River paper and here. It is much more, I think it looks better on the Tomoe River paper. But for what I'm doing this journal for, it doesn't really matter because this is my sketch journal. I will be using the watercolor in both of these, but I'm going to leave a link to Lindsay the Frugal Crafter's videos that she has about this one and this one, because she talks about them in a couple of different videos. She gives some great videos about budget-friendly items, and unlike a lot of people, she says you get what you can afford and you practice. And if you're practicing, it doesn't matter what you're practicing with. It doesn't matter. Now, I know for me personally, I think those synthetic brushes are great to practice with, but my very first set of brushes came from Michaels, and bristles came out. So after that, I got a better set. I checked reviews. I got a better set from Amazon, and then I started getting some of these from the Art Snacks boxes, but I found that these Winsor & Newton Cotman, which some of them I have gotten from Michaels and some of them I have actually gotten from Amazon, they work, I think, the best as far as synthetic and inexpensive brushes go. The Winsor & Newton Cotman brushes, they're fantastic. And these Princeton Velvet Touch brushes you can get from Amazon, they're fantastic for starter brushes. But I got a really cheap set from Amazon that lasted forever. As a matter of fact, I still have some of them. And what this says is Grace Art Practice. They get a little frayed after a while because they are really inexpensive, but they were great to learn with. I do have brush cleaner now, and I do need to go through and clean some of my brushes, which will help with that. But if you don't want to use those kind of brushes, you can use these. These do have the synthetic, most of them have synthetic nylon, and these work really good. I have to say, I don't know what brand this one is. It doesn't say, but I have one almost just like this, but it's a little bit different, and it says Push on it. But this one says Push. They have, Sakura has one, the Sakura Koi, I think, has one you can order. Pentels are pretty decent, but mine tend to get clogged. So I tend to like these inexpensive ones. But I will say that one of the best ones I've used is the Artisa ones. And I don't have one right in front of me right now. But they're inexpensive. I bought a set of those. They have let me see if I can find one. These are the Artisa ones. And it comes like in a 3 or 4. 3 or 4 of them, different sizes, come in. And it has this rubber part right here. And then you do this. And they work fantastic. They really do. And then I have these. Both of these are Push. And I think I got one set of them from Amazon and one set of them from eBay. These are the same brand as these, and they work really well. I do need to clean these out. This is my oldest one, but I need to refill this one and clean the bristles on them. Other than that, I think that's all I have for now, y'all. I think that's all I have. Next go round, I will do something else. I'm going to do how I do my page, and we're going to talk about glue sticks, adhesives, and stuff like that, because I have some favorites, These are two of my main favorites right here, the Uhu stick and the Craft Bond corner glue stick. I also have the Tombow thing that you use, my date stamp, these Tombow Mono permanent adhesives, and they have the semi-permanent ones as well. Finally got this. I had bought what I thought was them, and it ended up being the refills. So I have refills, but I had to buy this to actually use. So I have lots of other things that I'll share with you the next go round, but I kind of wanted to start here. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and the next video will be how I create my daily pages in my creative journal. A lot of people have asked, and I thought, why not, since I wanted to do a creative journal this year coming anyway, that this would be a really good way to kind of start that process and get going with doing some of what I love. And I'll go further into supplies, like what I keep my brushes in when I could on the go, and we'll talk about washi tape and all kinds of stuff as we continue to go through this. But I really didn't want to make this video super long. Watercolors, you can use your own tin. You can get a tin. This is my Daniel Smith and handmade watercolors that I've ordered from different places. You can kind of tell which ones are the handmade. These, there's a blue right here, but I really like, I love watercolors, all different kinds of watercolors. This is my Schmincke set, and I do have a few Daniel Smith in here because I don't have all of the colors I'd like to have by Schmincke. I do have some Daniel Smith regular Payne's gray, and I think neutral tint, and then I think this one is the Holbein Prussian blue, and then I have buff titanium by Daniel Smith. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. I'll see you again soon. Bye, y'all.